20 minutes away from 8. Let's get our weekly fill of space news. We do it with Dylan Storey, always staring into space, this time on a Friday. Thanks very much to the Auckland Stardome Observatory. Thanks for joining us, Dylan. Good morning.
Good morning, Wammo.
And first up, just quickly, let's talk about the space shuttle and its final mission, I suppose, piggybacking on the back of a Boeing and doing a wee bit of a tiki tour. Did you see some of that footage?
Yes. So, Space Shuttle Discovery, last time it will fly as such, I guess. There's lots of pictures of it out there on the back of NASA's jumbo jet. So, flying around doing a tour of some of the cities before it finds its final resting place in the Smithsonian Museum.
Yeah, certainly would be a place now to check into if you're an avid NASA or space nut. If you're ever going to travel over to the States, that'll definitely be on the must-visit list, I'd imagine.
Yeah, definitely. Imagine seeing one of those things. You can see how big it is when you see it on the back of the shuttle. You know, it's basically almost the same girth as the jumbo jet.
Yeah,
which is huge.
Bit sad though. At the same time, I always find it sad visiting aircraft that don't fly anymore. You know, they're just sort of sitting there.
Yeah. But you see some of the photos. The jumbo jet's all shiny and new, and Discovery's all battered.
Yeah, because I'd imagine that they give it a polish, before every mission. But the thing is, it's not going to have a new mission, and it's been through that re-entry procedure, and I guess that's what it looks like when it comes back from space.
Yeah. I think even though they do a polish and they replace a whole lot of parts, I think it just looks more battered after every mission.
Yeah,
they really take a pounding, especially on atmospheric entry.
Yeah. Okay. Let's cover off these cosmic rays. There's new research that suggests they aren't what we thought they initially were. What's this about?
They aren't what it's been ruled out one possible source of them. So this is quite a good illustration of how the scientific process works in astronomy. There are these things called cosmic rays, which are very high energy. They're the very highest of the spectrum that we can detect, and they are hitting Earth from all directions, and no one really knows where they come from. So the way that science works like this is to think of some possible places they could come from and try and check for them. So there's this big neutrino detector been built on the South Pole, so under the ice, and they've been built on the poles because that's where most of the mass of the Earth will be taking out a lot of the other interference.
Yeah.
So I get a much more accurate reading on the poles.
Right.
So there's this massive neutrino detector beneath the ice, and so it's been looking at one of the possible suspects for these cosmic rays, which is, as we love acronyms in astronomy, they're called GRBs. Stand for gamma ray bursts. So these are large bursts of a still very high frequency energy, but not as high frequency, so easier to measure. Gamma rays, which hit the Earth in bursts occasionally, and they come from exploding stars, so supernovas. We can track them down to coming from these particular sources. So could the higher energy cosmic rays also be coming from them? Well, that's what the neutrino detector's been looking at, and it's analysed over 300 gamma ray bursts, known gamma ray bursts, and found no extra intensity of cosmic rays. So, in essence, almost ruled that out.
So where do they come from then? We don't know, or do we?
We don't know.
Huh.
No. They hit Earth equally from every direction.
Yeah.
One of the other possibilities is supermassive black holes from galactic centres, which we know emit high energy radiation in lots of different parts of the spectrum. So I guess that would be the next place to look for them. If not, it's back to the drawing board, I guess. But it's a good example of how people find things out in science and astronomy.
Yeah, indeed. Well, that's. I mean, it's nice, I suppose, that there are some mysteries out there surrounding this, and then it hasn't just been solved overnight. But it certainly looks like a pretty amazing piece of equipment that they've installed there on the ice as well. Pretty cool.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah, they've expended some vast amount of oil by drilling these holes down into the ice, and to put the detectors in the most isolated place possible so that they're free from interference, free from other stray particles hitting them.
Yeah.
No, it's epic. It's one of the biggest, I believe, one of the biggest scientific experiments in the world.
Okay, and finally, NASA has been able to catch some pretty amazing footage of a solar flare this week.
Yeah. So I know we talk about solar flares quite often, so we won't go into it too much. But if people want to go online and have a look around, the site I quite like is what's it called? Universe Today.
Yeah.
And some of the high definition footage of the latest solar flare that's captured is absolutely amazing. Some of the close-ups where you can see all the individual lines of energy coming out, and then I think one of the coolest things is when the flare collapses and the top has kind of been sent off into space.
Yeah.
It's they call it raining because some of the I guess stray energy gets pulled back in, and it looks like it's raining back down on the surface of the sun.
Because the gravity of the sun is so immense, right? So that it ejects, but some of it doesn't go all the way out into space. It comes back.
Yeah, some of it falls back. Yeah, and you can see how it travels along these looping magnetic field lines.
Yeah.
So some of it kind of takes this perfect controlled arc in a circle round.
And do you have any idea of the size of that flare? I mean, compared to the size of the Earth. I mean, is it bigger than the Earth?
Oh, it's much bigger than the Earth. Yeah. In fact, the quote in the story was many times bigger than Earth, which isn't not particularly accurate. But I believe if you see that video of the solar flare coming up, Earth is just a dot. Earth would just be a dot on it.
Right. Wow. That's enormous. Yeah. There's Universe Today is a place to look, and also there's a video up on stuff.co.nz as well. But that's been our spacey talk for the week. Dylan Storey, thanks very much. The Auckland Stardom Observatory, thanks very much for joining us. Talk to you next week.
Thanks, Wammo. Yeah, some good telescope viewing at Stardome these nights where it's very clear, so head along.
Good, go and check it out. It's now 12 minutes away.